While 66% of people are unfulfilled in their jobs, half are women that cite working in a negative environment. My name is Holly Woods Gray, and I'm the CEO of Women of Wealth and a managing vice president with Appreciation Financial. And I'm here to tell you, there's a way out. In 2020, my team was paid over $2.6 million in commission, an increase of $300,000 from the prior year. 16 people on my team earn $100,000 or more each year. I want you to be the next person I get to celebrate with. Let's chat. Click the link below, send me a message, and let's find out if Appreciation Financial is a fit for you. There's room at the top. I'll meet you there.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this month's summit. I'm Holly Woods Gray, and I have three lovely ladies that are going to be joining me today. Whoops, where did I go? There I am. That are going to be joining me today to talk a little bit about Women's International Day. So happy Women's International Day. For those of you that are just joining us for the first time, as the video said, I'm the CEO of Women of Wealth. What my mission is to help women understand wealth and take a part of it, whether that's health or, whether it's their fitness, their diet, or their bank account. I'm all about making sure that women understand how to have that healthy relationship so they truly can feel wealthy in their life. I'm so excited because this is a first for me. I have three women that are not in my industry on today, and we're going to hear a little bit about each of them, and then we're going to dive into some questions about how us as women can be the change that we want to see in the world. So Mary, I'm going to have you go first. Just introduce yourself, tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and we'll jump into some questions.
All right. Well, hello, Mary McElhatton, goodness, from Las Vegas, Nevada. I am from a small town in Illinois, moved out to Nevada in 1985, have background in banking, and I have some CFO background, and I also have been a business owner doing business coaching, which is how I met Holly Woods. So what I currently do, which is what I'm extremely passionate about, is I work for a company here in town called Palm Mortuary, and I oversee about 2,500 locations across North America in pre-planning for our final day of departure. Yes, my family thought I was crazy when I said that I was going from inspirational speaking to mortuary speaking, and it has been the most effective thing I've ever learned, and it has truly allowed me to get past a lot of my own fears around leaving my family. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a grandmother, and I was one of the ones who never wanted to talk about what's 100% guarantee. So that is currently what I'm involved with, making an impact in the world for us to not be afraid about talking about death and bringing it up in our homes with the people that we love most. So that is who I am today.
That's great. Allie, bringing me back up. There we go. So next up, we have Teresa Garcia. As you can see, we're together. So we're here in Orange County at the Balboa Bay Resort. We're here for a women's retreat. So this is a little precursor to what's to come later in the day. So Teresa, go ahead and introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you do and how you impact the world.
Yeah, so Teresa Garcia, and I am the CEO of Ruby's Positive Empowerment. We are job matchmakers pairing adults with disabilities to their ideal employers. A little bit about me, I just, I've been on my own since I was 15 years old. And when I became pregnant, I just took care of my son and did what I had to do, put myself through college with no support system. So really, my mission is to help people feel valued and supported and in pursuing their goals and dreams, because that is what I always wanted.
That's great. All right. And then next up, we have a family member of mine, my cousin, Jill Schagel. Yes, that's how you pronounce her last name is Schagel. Her cousin told me one time, can we get a vowel? I love that joke, so I might have stole it from you. But anyway, Jill has an amazing position. So Jill, take it away.
Thank you, Holly. Thank you so much. Ladies, it's a pleasure to be here with all of you today. Happy International Women's Day. I am Jill Schagel, and as Holly mentioned, we're cousins, and she has always been an inspiration to me through life from childhood. I'm just a girl from San Diego who had big dreams of making it in the music business, and here I am. I'm currently vice president of creative at Cobalt Music, which is the largest independent music publisher in the world. I started very humble beginnings. I'm not the ideal path. I dropped out of college and was just trying to chase my dreams. And, what eventually happened for me is a woman took a chance on me and hired me to be her assistant when I had no prior music business experience. And that woman mentored me and raised me up and lifted me up over the years. And I grew from assistant to vice president. So I have a really great story with a mentor. And then that's pretty much the position where I am now. Now I'm in a position of power where I too reach back and mentor and bring up young women in music, both interns and younger junior A&Rs in the space where I work. So happy to be here and looking forward to digging in.
So Jill kind of led into this. What are some ways that women have supported you in the past? I mean, it doesn't just have to be about women. I know for me, we need a few good men in our life too, to make sure that they're lifting us up as well. But so let's talk about some of the women that did impact your life. Mary, why don't you go ahead and take this question first?
Okay. So the women that impacted my life certainly would be my mother, first off, right? First woman I ever met. First woman who ever taught me how to be on time. First woman who empowered me to overcome some fears. So she is 87 years old, a powerhouse, and I'm 10 of 11 children. So her impact is extremely powerful to this day. It's interesting. People talk about like people on teachers and things like that. Her name was Kara. She was a school bus teacher. And on the bus, every day, I'd be the first one on the bus and the last one dropped off on the bus. And she always just engaged with getting me out of my security, right? She's like, why don't you talk to other people if you want more friends? Why don't you, sit in the back of the bus, sit in the middle of the bus, sit in the front of the bus, like explore, Mary. So this woman really got me out of my comfort zone early on, which allowed me to continue to do this in my life. I just go up to everybody. I don't know a stranger. It's a gift. And it has supported me, especially doing what I do today. How do I approach people around talking about death and dying and pre-planning when I'm obviously going to get resistance? Because even personally, I have some am I in trouble for talking about this? Because I still feel that part of me that's going, wait, why am I talking about this kind of thing? So yes. And then I have 7 sisters. So they are hands down very, very supportive in just encouraging me every day. And people I work with, Teresa Corbett, huge influencer to me. She helped me marry the man of my dreams. I was going for a certain look and type. And she's like, well, how about looking over here? And I was like, whoa, I never even thought about that. I was so stuck on right here. And we're getting ready to celebrate 18 years of marriage. And I had been divorced before. So I wasn't really even looking at marriage again. I was like, I'm done with this.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, some of those women that you mentioned, obviously Teresa Corbett, she's one of the mentors that I've had through my personal and professional journey through PSI seminars. That's how Mary and I met, was through PSI seminars. And, there are just a bunch of phenomenal women through that. But I would mention one of my coaches that I had in high school, when one of the things that you don't want to tell me that I can't do something, because I will certainly prove you wrong, especially if, you know, someone of the opposite sex tells me that. So I had a boyfriend in high school who told me I would never play Division I volleyball. And this gal, Miss Kimball is her name. Unfortunately, she has passed on. However, she believed in me. She was my volleyball coach and my softball coach in high school. And I was her TA for like 2 periods, because apparently I didn't need to have regular classes. I could go get her lunch and everything. But she believed in me when all those naysayers, and she's like, you don't listen to him. There's no way. You can do exactly what you want to do. There's plenty of room in college volleyball in the Division I level for you. So, you know, I always use that story as something like as a backbone. Like when somebody tells me I can't do something, that's usually my first sign that it's going to get done. And it's probably going to get done a lot faster than I think it's going to when somebody does that. So, you know, I have a lot of great women in my life too, but I'd love to hear from Teresa and who are some of the influences that she's had.
You know, of course, I have to say my mother too. The unfortunate part is, you know, she taught me a lot of what I didn't want. And when I got pregnant, she said, you were supposed to be the one that was going to make it. You're not going to do anything with your life. And I literally went from straight F's to straight A's immediately and got 2 jobs and, you know, my own place at 16 years old. So I definitely proved her wrong.
Yeah.
And in college, when I was doing my internship at the Center for Teaching Entrepreneurship, the founder, Radonna Rogers, was the first person that like saw me and made me feel valued just for volunteering and interning with her. And it was just a really phenomenal experience. She taught me how to network and seen me bigger than I saw myself.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And Jill, how about you?
Yeah, for me, it was probably my older sister. You know, she's been a constant force in my life. And, you know, like Holly, as you said earlier, you know, there have been some great men in our lives. You know, I think all of the men who have coached me throughout my, you know, athletic journey, from softball coaches to basketball coaches to volleyball coaches, were, you know, very instrumental, I think, in my self-confidence and my discipline and my competitive spirit. So I would say my sister, all of the male coaches that I had over the years, and then the woman who hired me and mentored me my whole career. It's a woman by the name of Ethiopia Habtemariam, who currently is the chairwoman and CEO of the esteemed record label Motown Records. And so I was fortunate, like I said, for her to take a chance on me and hire me in an entry-level position and believe in me and literally open her Rolodex and show me and teach me anything that I wanted to know. And that is rare. And it's definitely something I look to return the favor or pay forward. But those are definitely the key people in my life.
Great. Well, Jill, we'll start with you. Let's talk about what change you'd like to see in your lifetime. It can be globally, in your life, or in your community. What would you like to see happen?
Yeah, I think, you know, in keeping the same theme of the conversation going, you know, I'd love to see a world with more women in power, you know, not just in our industries, but how amazing would it be to see finally a female president, right? And women in roles that aren't just you know, your basic everyday roles. You know, yes, there's many women out there that are happy in home and taking care of families. And there's other women who have aspirations and dreams of running the country. And so for me, it's just very empowering to hear from these women today. But eventually I would love to see women across the board around the world in positions of power.
Yeah, that's great. And how about you, Teresa? What are some of the changes you'd like to see?
Well, I want everyone to know their worth, to feel valued and supported while fiercely pursuing whatever it is that lights their soul on fire.
Yeah, it's great. Short and sweet.
Mm-hmm.
It's my vision. So,
all right, Mary, what do you have to say about this question?
Oh, so the change that I'd like to see in the world is, first and foremost, for us to be comfortable to talk about our families, you know, in our homes, with our children, with our grandchildren, and talk about the reality of mortality. I think that the end result to that will be some better living. I believe that suicide will go down, because if we're not talking about it, I think more people have permission to do it, versus maybe being more open about, you know, how I'm struggling and I want to live, yet I'm not really sure how to. So I know for myself, when I was asked to help my father plan out his wishes the last 3 months of his life, it was the most difficult thing I did and the most rewarding, because I got to get really close to him. I saw a man who just was very quiet, who never wanted to talk about anything, to all of a sudden opening up and sharing about his life and his childhood. And it allowed me to understand where he was coming from. So I I was like, whoa, who is this man, number one? And then the other thing that came out of that was this intimacy that was with my father before he passed. I'm like, if I would have never had that, I wouldn't know that he's still like telling me what to do today, because of that closeness and that like unveiling all the, the things that we are afraid to tell someone. Most times people pass on before we're able to say what we really want to say. So that's the change I want to see. I want people to be okay with this topic and say, look, like I ask everybody, like, what do you want, cremation or burial? That's my first question to all of my kids. My grandkids are still a little bit young. They don't understand it. However, I do walk them through the cemeteries as much as I possibly can, so they're familiar with what this is. And live life backwards, better health. I've certainly got better health since I see that if I'm not healthy, then I'm going to pass sooner, quicker, faster.
Yeah.
I don't want to, like everybody else.
It's interesting how much our professions overlap, right? It's like you're preparing people for their last days. I'm preparing them to live well in their last days, right? So that they can have the retirement that they all dreamed of. Primarily we help women educators retire. Most educators are women. So I do have these conversations, and it is surprising how many people haven't talked about what they want with their spouse. When I talk about contingency beneficiaries, well, what's that? Well, if you and your beneficiary, your main beneficiary, like your spouse or whoever your main beneficiary is, die at the same time, then who would take care of your money? Who would take care of your kids? Bobby and I had, it was the middle of a night one night. We were getting ready to go to Mexico. I think we were going to Cabo, and Jackson was maybe about a year old. So this was a while ago, because he just turned 9. And I woke up in the middle of the night. I'm like, we don't have a contingency beneficiary because we didn't ever need one before. You know what I mean? So it's like, I had to call my brother in the middle of the night and say, you're my contingency beneficiary. I have since changed that to, to my niece, actually, because she now has a family and her kids are closer in age to my son and whatnot. But it's something that we didn't like being in the life insurance business. We hadn't even had that conversation, so these are really important conversations to have, but it also, really helps to know what your vision is. All right. So being that on an average, we spend a third of our lives working, how does your work reflect the change you wish to see in the world? Teresa, why don't you go ahead and start?
Up until now, I've been completely out of alignment. So I was overworking and caring more about supporting other people than supporting myself. 2022, I decided it is my year, and it's my year to be worthy of that work-life balance that I preach and practice to everyone else. Mm-hmm. So I have pulled back tremendously. And I think I might be working in my business part-time right now.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of times we can't take care of other people if we're not able to take care of ourselves first. That's why they say in the airplane, put your mask on first so that you can help other people, right? Help those kids or the people acting like kids around you. Jill, what do you have to say about this?
Well, I think so much of what I do in work crosses over to my personal life. For example, some of my closest friends are also in this music business. And so it makes it a little bit easier to come home and have a conversation about a stressful day, with a friend who, understands and is in the same kind of industry, right? And at the same time, it also makes it easier to enjoy non-work things, right? And it feels like those things, whether they be small, like a simple hike, right, on a Saturday, and enjoying that, I think those moments feel greater, right? And doing it with someone who shares those same experiences with you on a work day. But I agree that the work-life balance is challenging, and we definitely have to find ways to put ourselves first. And so for me, it's having these strong relationships with women and my closest friends who are also in my same industry.
Excellent. Mary, how about you?
Yeah. So Teresa, and you and I have something very in common, by I too can really get lost into my work. It's something I'm very passionate about, and it serves my purpose as well. So when COVID hit, it was a wake-up call, the wake-up call of really saying, okay, what is most important? And what I've discovered like over the last 2 years is that, number one, I can stay home and do work and have fun with the kids, go on a hike in the morning, come back and do a couple hours of work. That was as effective as 8 hours of work. So this learning through all of this pandemic has really shifted my whole way of thinking when it comes to, you know, my priorities. And I also have learned that in my perspective, as far as like balancing act, what I'm learning is that if I'm in the moment of whatever I'm doing, then that is a balance for me. Because if I'm working on my dream, which does require that extra time outside of work, I'm going to publish a new book called Life Backwards. Again, how can we work backwards? Sometimes we're all working forward, and I do it. I work forward, and I now am getting into how does life look backwards? And so yeah, just prioritizing. If I am at work, I am at work. I'm efficiently doing my work so I can get out of there as quick as possible to come home and then be in the moment with the kids. And it seems to be working better because I, like you, Teresa, it was just like, no, they need me. And then delegation, brilliant. It took me 5 children to learn how to delegate someone to take my daughter to school who was down the street going to the same school. Let's do carpool. I mean, it's awesome.
Quick question. So I have my son goes to school about 30 minutes away. And does anybody think it's creepy if I see like the sticker of the school and like follow that person home if they're like in my neighborhood? Is that too creepy for people? I hope not, because I'm going to do it. I've seen it twice and I haven't done it because Jackson's with me. He's like, Mom, don't. Like, that's embarrassing. You know, I'm like, yeah, but this could save me an hour and a half a day if I found somebody to pick you up from school every day.
Hey, trade-off. It's a good thing. I have someone taking the girls in the morning, or we take in the morning, and somebody picks and drops them off. And it's a nice thing. And you get really involved with your neighbors. A little more,
so, okay, well,
relationship.
If everybody gives me a thumbs up, then I'm probably going to do it.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
For sure. I mean, I think balance is like so elusive because I think whatever you're focused on expands. And so if you're focusing on whatever it is that your dream is and you're going after that, then that part of your life is going to expand. And so for me, what I've had to learn to do is not only delegate, I feel like I'm getting better at that, especially now that I have permission to go stalk the neighbors. So, you know, really, I think that one of the things that is my challenge is I do love to work and I love the women. Like, I love the women on my team. I love the women that I get to help figure out their financial solutions. But I also know that my son is already 9 and only have a few more years that he's going to even want to hang out with Mom. So I do also take that time to really be happy. I see my other cousin in the background now.
All right.
Hi, Corey. Anyway, I just think that it's important for us to definitely prioritize and prioritize, not necessarily even like on a yearly basis or on a monthly basis, but sometimes on a daily basis. You know, like I'm out of town for a couple days. So I really want to make sure that when I'm out of town, that day before, that night before, I spend more time with the people who I'm going to be away from, because you never know, like my flight could get delayed or whatever could happen to where it keeps me away even longer. So I think those are really great things to set up for us as well. But yeah, putting that mask on first is definitely a challenge sometimes. All right. So what piece of advice would you give someone who's not happy or at peace with their current situation or the situation in the world? So Jill, you want to go ahead and tackle this one first?
Yeah, it took me a long time to understand that you can't control everything. There are a lot of things that are going to be out of your control. And so releasing that responsibility or that weight of, feeling stressed or feeling uncomfortable with those things you just can't change. I think we're all probably uncomfortable with world events and what's happening in the world. And for me, it's always been finding a focus and, work, right? And, I think it's important now with social media. It's like you have the power at your fingertips to connect with strangers and people that could potentially boost your self-esteem or bring, attention to a new hobby that, you never thought you would love. Anything to kind of shift you out of that weird haze of an uncomfortable, whatever you're feeling. I know we were all kind of feeling it through COVID, is just one, reminding yourself that you can't control everything. There's things out of your control. But two, really pushing yourself outside of the comfort zone to meet new people and try new things, even if it's volunteering or finding a new hobby or, like I said, you've got the world at your fingertips on Instagram. So many people are responsive to hello messages or inquiries about, what one does professionally. I've received inquiries from strangers who just want an informational interview to learn what I do and why it's important to me. So that's really the best advice I can offer, because it took me a while to get there myself. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are so many hats that we wear on a daily basis, to really separate what is important can sometimes be tricky for people. And I think it's great advice. Like, I know for me, when I learned how to let go of control, which I haven't completely figured it out in all areas of my life. However, with my team, when I've learned how to let go of control and I can't influence everything that my team does, that my team grows and expands. And also it supports other people in getting stronger in those areas where they might not be as strong, So, all right. What do you think, Miss Mary?
Well, for sure, you guys, I have learned that attending funerals is the place to let go of all your worries and concerns about absolutely the things we cannot control. Mm-hmm. I have done speaking in my lifetime, and what I noticed immediately in officiating some funeral services that, the audience's full participation, meaning they are engaged. They are not thinking about paying bills. They are not thinking about their problems. They are not thinking about anything that would stress them out. They're completely in a state of love and of appreciation and gratitude. And so the goal is to be able to walk out of the funeral homes and have that with us at all times. So I attend a lot of funerals, way more than I would like to. However, it grounds me, it centers me, it helps me go home and be a better mom. It helps me be a better wife. It helps me to be a better driver on the road. So I would have to say, just attend a beautiful service, because their life mattered. And that's how we can honor those who have passed and who will pass. And, we're all in it together. That's what I love about it too, is that there's no separation or dividing between something that's all of us are involved in, right? We're all going to go. However we go is not important, the how or the why, it's when. So happiness happens for me by, oh my gosh, Holly, I love you. I want you to know that I care about what you're doing. And Jennifer, Jill meeting you for the first time and hearing about this music industry. I could only wish that I could even carry a tune. I cannot. And you know, Teresa, you have I know I shouldn't say this, I'm going to say it, but my favorite sister's name is Teresa out of all of us. Now they might see this and be like, I thought I was your favorite. They really are all my favorite, just like my children, right? It's just, she's got something about her that she grabs my heart and my attention every time I see her. And I'm like, your smile is brighter than anyone I know. So yeah, just, you know, that brings me fulfillment and happiness. And I think other people will experience it. I know they will. They'll experience it and hold it in their hearts to be able to go out and go, hey, my problems are not that bad. Such and such is now without a loved one.
Right.
You know,
So true. Definitely gives perspective. We recently, I think I shared this with you, Mary. We recently lost someone in our Chula Vista community, a young kid who I didn't really know very well, but I went to high school with his parents. And, you know, just all the love, the pouring of love and support for this family. This kid was a star athlete in our community. We watched him play in the Little League World Series, you know, and he passed away. And it was just like, for that, you know, for the time that the mourning was taking place, and I know it's still taking place for many people in our community, but it was just like my, you know, problem of getting out to a baptism to see my grandson get baptized was like small compared to, you know, anything that they were going through. So, you know, I think it really does give perspective when you lose someone close to you. It gives perspective when you watch someone die. I had both situations in my life. My dad died suddenly and my mom took a long time. So, you know, I had to get both experiences, and I can't really tell you which one's better. I honestly think that one where you get at least to say goodbye and really get their wishes and all that, I think that is a little bit better, but I think they both have their share of difficulties. So, so Teresa, what about you? What advice would you leave our audience with?
So this is actually my wheelhouse of expertise. I have designed my life overcoming so many things. And so the first thing is to get very clear on where you are and where you want to be. And identifying that gap is where you're going to be able to define the strategy to get you there. And the only way you get there is if you have a clear vision, right? And you have to be in alignment with yourself. And so, you know, taking care of your mind, body, and soul is not something that, you know, you check off when you go to the day spa. It's something that you should do every single day. When you wake up, pouring into you, whether it's meditation, gratitude, energy medicine, or physical activity, right? When you start your day giving to you, your day it snowballs into a better day. Mm-hmm. And then you end your day strategizing the next day. And pretty soon you will be exactly where you want to be.
Yep, absolutely. For me, I think the one bit of advice that I would take from here is gratitude. You know, negativity cannot exist in the same breath that gratitude and appreciation exists. And I think that, you know, there are a lot of things that have gone on in the world the last 2 years, and there's a lot of things going on in the world right now. However, every day waking up and being grateful for the things that you have. It's funny because my brother sent me this text this morning, and he was all fired up about something that was happening in his life, and it had to do a little bit with a potential payday that he's getting. And he's like, today's going to be a good day. And I'm like, it's totally a good day. You woke up, your kids are healthy, and you know, you're loved by many. So of course it's a good day. You know, it doesn't matter what's in, I mean, in the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what's in the bank account. It doesn't matter how much money is coming in that day. It can help a little bit. However, at the same time, you know, you have another day to be blessed and bless others. So what are you going to do with it? All right, ladies. So one last bit of information, just what do you wish I would have asked you on this Women's Day? This is a Mad Lib one that I didn't tell them in advance. So what do you wish I would have asked you, or something that you wish you would have had a chance to tell the audience or just say about International Women's Day? I mean, how cool is it that we have International Women's Day? I went to an international university, so I think it's really cool, especially since I'm traveling to Turkey next week and I'm going to get an opportunity to see some of my friends that I went to college with that actually live there. So it's pretty cool. All right. Who's up first? You want to go first, Teresa?
Sure. Since you're making me pick a question, I think it might have been good to talk about how we got where we are.
Oh, good. So share a little bit about that. You
I
kind
wasn't
of have a little
expecting that.
bit. You kind of have a little
Yeah,
bit.
I have. I just, for me, it was looking around, I grew up in a very racist environment in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and looking around and saying that there has to be something better than this, and then believing that I could do more. And so that's what kept me open and got me, through college and all of the fun things.
Nice. How about you, Miss Jill? What do you wish I would have asked you that I didn't? And then answer that question.
How about music? I work in music. What kind of music do you love? What do I focus on? And it's interesting. This kind of goes along with the whole theme of the conversation. I grew up listening and having a passion and a love for hip hop, rap music, and R&B music. And it was always my passion. I think it kind of coincided with, playing basketball in the 90s. Hip hop and basketball just went together. And, I turned that into a lifelong passion and career. So I specifically oversee all things rap, R&B, and hip hop in my industry. And, again, I work in an industry that's male dominated, but also my genres are male dominated. So it's pretty amazing and invigorating and hopefully inspirational for, anyone else listening who, also has interests outside of the norm.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So Jill and Thomas, for those of you that know my family, are the two hipsters in our, well, I call them that. We probably have more now since we have the younger generation of cousins that are older now. However, they're like the hipsters. They can both dance. I do. I mean, I think I know how to dance, but then I see those two and no, it's not true. So yeah, definitely, Jill. I think it's really important that, it's interesting to think that, the different industries that are male dominated that you don't even really think are male dominated. When you're looking at like the music industry, it seems pretty even, but it's really not when you look at who wins the awards and all that kind of stuff. They've done a good job, I think, of putting categories for women to be able to thrive in, but I still think there's some work for them to do to really get those female artists out there. But we did get a little shout out on at the Super Bowl, right? We had some old school in there, and we had a female on the stage, so that was cool.
Yeah, it's definitely wonderful to see. And doing what I do now, what I love is there's this whole next generation of women rappers and singers that are finally kind of getting shine. There's it's no longer for the long time one female rapper could exist at a time. They couldn't coexist. They were pitted against each other. And now what's beautiful and what's happening in my industry is that these young next generation of artists, rappers, singers, they're all coming up together, and there's space for all of them. So I love seeing that when I have my, music on shuffle or I'm listening to a playlist. It's a nice variety of male voices and female voices. So, that's really exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, Miss Mary, what should I have asked you that I didn't?
Let's see. I would say, ask me why it's so important that women need other women.
Okay. Why?
Well, because we hold all the answers for each other. I've realized the women I shy away from are the ones that I'm still having challenges with, whether it's insecurity or intimacy with a woman versus, how can I overcome my insecurities? And it typically is supported by somebody who may challenge me the most, some woman who has more than I have, or less than I have. You know what I mean? Like there's just this gut feeling when I go up to a woman, and I usually don't want to, right? Because I'm maybe busy over here. I make excuses. Yet when I do, I go and learn something about myself through the eyes of another woman that I may have not recognized yet. So just that reminder that women are very much alike, whether you have children or not. And there's these gifts that each other can give one another when we just go out of our way to go up to each other and just, be honest. I've gone up to women and said, you're the only woman in the room that I typically would not speak to. And they're like, what? And you make me scared. I'm afraid to talk to you. Do you understand? Like, you're powerful. And before I know it, there's like this connection, because she may have been feeling the same way. So that's where I think it's so important that women want each other in their lives and need each other in their lives and empower one another to unravel these discoveries of, these secrets we hold inside of us.
Yeah,
we're all amazing.
That's really good.
That's
really good advice. It's beautiful. All right. Well, I'm going to leave you guys with one thing before we end. Maya Angelou is one of my favorite poets and women. I think she has done a lot to bring us out of some of the mindset that people had about women, when she started bringing her gifts to the world. And so, I think, Mary, what you said what all of you said was right on. Just like the last thing that you said about women encouraging women. I love the fact that it's not competition anymore. It's more collaboration, more than anything and ever before. I feel it in my industry for sure. The wealth in the United States is shifting. For the first time in about the next 10 years, for the first time in our history, women will have 2/3 of the wealth in our name. And the reason why that's happening is, number one, because for the longest time, we weren't even allowed to inherit money. Went to the oldest boy in the family, and then he dished it out to the women. But we have this double inheritance that's going to be happening. So not only are we now allowed to inherit our husbands or our spouses' money, but also our parents' money. And so the shift is happening, the shift of women having more wealth, having more resources. I do hope that women out there that haven't met with someone, or like myself or like Mary, to really make sure you have those plans in place, that you do that. However, talk to more of your women friends about it, especially your business owners and your executives who have had to deal with some of those, extra zeros in their account. They have some knowledge on what to do, or they can direct you towards the right people. So what I want to say is thank you. Thank you, ladies, for being on the show today, for being on this wonderful summit. And I really appreciate each and every one of you. I also want to give a shout out to Allie. She's behind the scenes. Thank you, Allie, for always making it work seamlessly. I appreciate you. And I just want to leave us with, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's by Maya Angelou. And I think it goes along with what Mary was saying. Sometimes the scariest woman in the room might be very powerful. Maybe she's just having a bad day and she doesn't have a lot to smile about that day. So make sure you go and give her a hug and talk to her. And she's the one who, could be your next best friend. You just don't even know that. So have a great International Women's Day, everyone. Go get some lunch. And here's how you can contact all these fabulous women. And thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.